Now, Governor Palin, who was doing the late night shows and had a quick turnaround for us. Governor Palin, welcome back.
Thank you so much, Brian. How are you?
Oh, it's great to hear you. I feel like I just saw you 20 minutes ago analyzing this debate. First off, your quick impression of the Joe Biden you saw last night as opposed to the one you squared off with.
Last night, well, hopefully we can talk about the substance of their comments and what they proposed. But as for style, Joe Biden was completely different than the way that he acted back then 4 years ago in our debate. I think he probably changed no one's mind in terms of who anybody's going to be voting for. But the stylistic choices of his last night were a bit puzzling when it came to the grins, the laughs, especially during the utmost seriousness of some of the policies they were talking about.
You know, Governor, I think it would have been a lot easier for you to debate him because here he has a record for the last 4 years coupled with President Obama. Don't you believe it's a little bit easier when you have something you could actually hold on to and grasp to have an idea of how they, instead of projecting how he would govern, now you know for sure how he governed?
Well, yeah, that's a great point. And that's where we could have gone 4 years ago, obviously, is, well, you know, here, Biden, Obama, here's what you have done to this country with your failed policies and this nonsensical notion of yours to want to continue for 4 more years these failed policies. But what we had to go on then was, Barack Obama's record of just showing up and voting present, basically, throughout his career, and his habit of spending other people's money and not balancing budgets or making payroll or understanding how the private sector economy works. And where we went with Joe Biden was his decades in the public sector, in politics, and his record of voting against every energy proposal that would allow America to become more energy independent, and all of his very, very liberal left-leaning policies. That's where we went, but obviously we came up short.
Well, you did great. I mean, even then Senator Biden thought you did great. Everybody thought you had a great debate. He was kind of a different guy. For those who missed it, and this had a different feel to it, I think there was much more desperation for the vice president after the president bombed. But let's listen together. I want to get your impression. This is a couple of the 82 times Joe Biden interrupted Paul Ryan. Cut 8.
7.4 million seniors are projected to lose the current Medicare Advantage coverage they have. That's a $3,200 benefit cut.
That didn't
what we're
happen.
saying,
more people signed
these are
up.
from your own actuaries.
More people signed up for Medicare Advantage after the change.
What they're saying,
nobody is.
Mr. Vice President,
down.
I know.
No, this
Mr. Vice President, I know you're under a lot of duress to make up for lost ground. But I think people will be better served if we don't keep interrupting each other.
Well, don't take all the 4 minutes then.
We're saying don't change benefits for people 55 and above. They already organized their retirement around these promises.
So you got this sense, Governor, when you're watching that, what do you think the people, undecided voters, take away from situations like that?
A situation like that, Brian, I think it reminds us why most of us would hope that our children choose not to emulate those rude things that politicians think that they can get away with. It was just rude. I don't know if that moderator has kids or not, but I believe that any parent would not allow such interruptions and that type of unproductive exchange. I think the moderator did a really lousy job by not kind of taking control and not allowing Joe Biden to run roughshod over Paul Ryan. It was just an unfair format when Joe Biden was allowed to do this.
It's tough, too. I mean, every debate has challenges. But this one is true. This is the largest gap between two candidates age-wise in American political history. As they sit down there, you got one guy with 14 years experience who was 3 years old when Joe Biden was in his first term as senator. And you saw a lot of that. I thought that there was a risk of Paul Ryan not giving Joe Biden respect. Instead, I felt there was a dismissiveness from Biden to Ryan.
Yeah, that's a great point, too. And then, we head to kind of delving through and ignoring some of the style of both debaters, and we get to the substance, and still there. It's Paul Ryan, I believe, who came out on top when he talked about policies, when he talked about principles of our economy and how we can strengthen what it is that created America's exceptionalism, and that's all about freedom, of course, and opportunities, equal opportunities for everybody to succeed, and not growing big, centralized, dysfunctional government. That's where Paul Ryan was going in his explanations of economic policies he would like to enact with Governor Romney, and Joe Biden was on the other side of it, still believing that government is the solution, not understanding that really it is the problem.
I talked to John McCain last week, and I asked him, how often do you think about what you would have done had you gotten into office different from the president? And he's like, well, I don't really look back that much. I got so much to do. I sense he did. He didn't want to talk about it. Governor Palin, do you ever think about it? Wow, what I would have done had we won?
I'm there with Senator McCain and not looking backwards, but certainly when I see President Obama screwing up left and right and, blaming others and ticking off our allies and coddling our enemies on the international stage and continuing to try to repeat failed socialist policies of other nations that are bankrupt now, I look at his mistakes and I think surely John McCain would not have done that. We would have surrounded ourselves with those who understand the private sector and truly want to create jobs so that people take self-responsibility and seize opportunities to progress and to be prosperous. I look at the mistakes of the Obama-Biden administration and I say John McCain would have been such a better president, and I have great respect for the senator and continue to this day to dearly love the man, and I know that the majority of Americans must be regretting that outcome from 4 years ago.
Normally, I have to say who my guest is every 3 minutes because it's radio, but everybody knows Sarah Palin. Sarah, have you ever sat back, had time to sit back and think how your life has changed over the last 3.5 years?
I keep things in perspective in terms of how my life has changed, and knowing that, 4 years ago when I jumped on that national stage, I had a 16-week-old baby. I had a son, my oldest, who was deployed in Iraq, and 3 busy daughters, and that was the center of my life. The kids are still the center of my life. Now my oldest, he's deployed in Afghanistan. Now my 16-week-old son, he's 4 years old. Now the girls are even busier. And I look at what's really, really important in my life and see how changes within family have taken place. And that pretty much is what consumes me. It's not so much politically how things have changed, though maybe at some point in my life I'll take a deep breath and I'll step back and I will be even more amazed at the awesome opportunities that God's provided my family with. I appreciate everything that has come our way, the good and the bad, because we learn from absolutely every situation that we go through. Right. But honestly, Brian, I just haven't really had time to be too introspective in that respect. All
right, I got 2 things. Now, Bristol's been on our couch on Fox and Friends before, and now she's back on Dancing with the Stars. Have you been watching, and what is it like from your perspective watching her in the all-star cast?
It's awesome. In fact, I've been able to travel to L.A. for the 3 dances that the contestants have done thus far, and it's exciting. I never watched the show, either had Bristol or Todd, any of us, before Bristol got on the show, but I watch it now, of course, with Bristol on it, and think, well, no wonder people watch this. It's this healthy, energetic competition. It's kind of a sweet diversion from some of the stuff that's not so sweet that goes on in our world. So it's fun, and she's doing great. And like I tell her, Bristol, the critics are going to criticize. She's always telling me, no matter what, the haters are going to hate, so I might as well dance. I'm like, right on. That's a good life lesson. That is great.
And I had a chance to talk to one of the Special Forces guy in the military reality show that Todd participated in. And he says, who is the guy that really is going to emerge from this series? And they both said to me, this guy, Todd Palin, is such an athlete and such a competitor, he could have been a Navy SEAL, no problem, right now. he's an underrated athlete and competitor, isn't he, your husband?
Well, he is calm, cool, and collected, and, just very, very humble and grounded. Grew up in a tiny Eskimo community up in Alaska, and has been very, very ethical, works very hard. I think he has more common sense in his little finger than any politician that at least is on the left side of the aisle in Washington, D.C., and you just combine all that in addition to he being such a great dad, and I realize I'm a lucky woman.
Yeah, called Stars Earn Stripes. He also is, they say he is absolutely fearless. And the snow machine thing, that will do it, the more I find out about that. And finally, Governor Palin, for you're a woman who's always set goals for yourself and achieved them. I talked to your brother and your dad, who have a book out now. And we know your book is out, which is Going Rogue: An American Life. Now, they wrote about you growing, what it was like with you growing up, and this was fascinating. And they let us know whatever you decide to do, we'll know about it soon. What are you going to decide to do next?
I don't know what I'm going to do next, to tell you the truth. When it comes to politics, I want to stay in the ring, though, and be able to hopefully positively affect some changes that need to take place in this country so that we can defend our republic. I'll do whatever I can and won't hesitate to go rogue and shake it up if need be, because, I don't know, that's just kind of the way I'm wired. And only in America, Brian, only in America can anyone make a difference without a title, without an office. You get out there, you stand on principle, you strengthen your spine, you'll see that others around you have their spine strengthened then, and then everybody moves forward in a good way.
Yeah, well, by the way, you just rent a bus and then the crowd show. But Governor, I'm wondering, Secretary of Energy, if Romney was to get in and say, Governor, I have an idea for you, why don't you come into my administration, be Secretary of Energy, was that something you would do?
I don't see that happening, the offer coming from Governor Romney. He's got an amazing list of people whom he can choose from, but energy is my baby because I understand it, and having been commissioner of the Oil and Gas Commission in Alaska and the nation's chairman of the Interstate Oil and Gas Compact Commission, I have good experience in energy. I know what it takes to get our country on that path to energy independence, and that's why, I get pretty infuriated when I'm watching what Obama and Biden do to thwart our opportunities for energy independence.
I know you want Romney, the last question, I know you want Romney and Ryan to win. How do you think this thing plays out in the last 3 weeks?
Oh, my goodness. I'm wanting, I'm praying, I'm doing what I can to make sure that Romney and Biden win. I think it's a toss-up right now. I mean, I don't like polls. I've said before, polls are for strippers and cross-country skiers. I don't like them. I don't believe them. But the polls do show that it's neck and neck. So, people just in these next 3 weeks, just hopefully folks are going to open their eyes and realize that we truly have a good choice. We don't have to keep going down this road towards bankruptcy. We can turn things around. We can become prosperous and exceptional and strong again with the right leadership.
All right, Governor Palin, thanks so much for your quality time. Best of luck with your book, and the book by your brother and your dad is Our Sarah, Made in Alaska. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you, Brian.
No